across everything. That's all good. 10 to start the streamer.
Okie dokie.
Start broadcasting. SVP Nederlander. That's away. And starting the stream to the Tube of Eunice now.
Okie dokie.
We shall see when it goes live. You're up. It is live on YouTubings.
It's slow on SVP.
Is it?
Aye.
Oh, bugger.
It'll get there.
I shall go to the trails and have a gander.
I'll do a refresh, that might help.
We do these things so other people don't have to. Doodle-dee-dong. You see, you get a big bottle of cider in front of us. Tisk, tisk.
Terrible.
It's up.
Right, I've got you now. Well, I've got me now.
Yes, 'tis there.
Yep.
Right, I'll close that page because if I start getting into chat, you know what's going to happen.
Bad things.
Bad things will happen.
Yep.
Oh, even Paul, get in. Lovely jubilee. Dodo news. Right. So what are they doing with you, John?
I haven't been out today. It's been sunny mostly. Not too much rain at the moment. It's starting to, get a little bit summery.
Yeah, we've got there's a mist just rolling in down the park out our back at the minute. It's been a nice day, but there is now a mist rolling in.
It's not a fog off the Tyne, is it?
No.
This, yeah.
Well, it would be for you, Sav, but it's just unclear on the way.
I prefer queer on the way, but...
No. You can't say that anymore. It's like you can't say blackboard.
I know.
And I still think a blackboard looks an awful lot like a thrush. Did they like that one, Pit?
Yeah.
It's a bit like what's the difference between a buffalo and a bison? Can't wash your hands in a buffalo.
Exactly right. Underneath the back of it, maybe. Never mind. Yes. No, I was reminded when I saw this little fug rolling down the bank towards the house of the Randy Scotsman that took his girlfriend out into the fog and mist.
Oh dear. Don't be one of them nights, innit? Don't be one of them nights, innit?
It could
It's one of those nights.
could very well be one of those nights. It'll be serious.
Of course.
Folks will be going away after the show going, bloody hell, that was serious. That was serious. And it'll be educational. Folks will be going away, you'll hear them all say, well, that's taught me a lesson.
I see that every week.
Exactly right.
Aye. Oh, God.
What?
Nothing.
It's not whistling. Do you want it to whistle?
No!
Cotton wick, 12 watts, VG, 36 milligram RY4.
It's not quiet, that though, is it?
It's not, is it?
There are those that would say there's not much about me that is, John. But it is what it is. And that's what it is. So they say, oh look, I can do that. See, right up your nose from here.
Aye.
Stop it, Don.
Wrong way.
Oh, hang on. Go on. Yeah.
Left that way.
That's it.
I see. I've turned my camera off of mirror image now, so everything's wrong for me.
All right. I tell you what really confuzzleizes me is that on the cameras, on the video cameras, it's a mirror image comes back at me, but when I look in the preview screens on the tellies, it's the right way around, and that kind of confuses matters.
Yeah, maybe don't do any fire juggling or anything like that. Yeah.
No, probably not a good idea. In fact, definitely not. Do we need to do some sound checks, Sav?
No.
All right.
I've already had my sound report, my very technical sound report back from Kat.
Oh, what'd you say?
Can't be bothered, but it must sound alright.
The consummate professional.
It's what you like to hear, innit?
Yeah. So the sound levels are fine.
So there's no counting from 10 to 1 and 1 to 10 and
No.
no limericks?
I don't think we need to test for maths tonight. I think we're good.
Cool. I'll put that away. That's not meant to be out till Monday.
Oh, yeah. Hide.
Hide it.
Hide it.
Hide it. Ah, bugger it. We're not live.
No, we're not live. We're only half live.
There it is. Desire. Desire. He was one man with one desire.
Oh, no. Always makes me want to go and watch a film when you do that.
Really?
Ah,
Yeah, any film, doesn't matter which.
yeah, just a film. I'm not fussy.
He was a man. She was a woman. It was a dog. Coming to a cinema near you, a queue. A queue, not what you thought.
I never thought nothing.
That's all right. And that wasn't a present from China either.
No.
Gift for 5-year-old girl. Although I have seen something on the packaging that'll interest a lot of people.
Cool.
I had a bit of a giggle about it. We'll talk about that on Monday though. Not talking about it tonight.
No.
No, talk about it on Monday.
Talk about it on Monday.
On Monday.
It's a bank holiday on Monday.
No, was bank holiday Monday gone?
Yeah, next bank holiday is when?
May Day.
May Day.
Oh, bugger. Is that
Oh, yeah.
Is that Monday?
I don't know. No, it's next Monday, isn't it?
The Monday following next Monday.
Yeah, the Monday after this Monday.
Right.
The 26th on Saturday, isn't it? Yeah.
I hope so, because it's 24th today.
Yeah, I went to the
Lovely.
doctor's today.
I can't
Wasn't
actually
supposed to.
count 2 days in advance. That's a bit too much for me.
I think it's a bit much to ask of any man. What do you mean you went to the doctor's today, you?
Well, I went to the doctor's today. I wasn't supposed to go. I'm not supposed to go the 28th, but I went today. So I have no idea what day it is.
They're not by any chance treating you for dysnumeracy, are they?
They might now.
I'm here for my appointment. You're a bit early.
Well, you see, luckily, when I parked in the car park and I thought, something just doesn't feel right about this. So I phoned them up from outside and went, am I meant to be here today? She went, no, next week. I went, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I've only just realised. I got up
Yeah.
at 6 o'clock for nout.
I did.
I once went all the way to work on a bank holiday and actually got to the very front door and walked into a locked door before I stepped back and saw the sign that says we're closed on the bank holiday.
Yeah.
For a period of 15 years, I went to work on every bank holiday.
Ah, life is tough then, though, wouldn't it?
Well, that's what comes of being a sound engineer.
Ah,
Bank
busy
holiday,
day.
bank holiday, there's gigs.
You're right.
Apparently, the bank holiday is the 5th of May.
5th of May, so it's a
Day
week,
after Star Wars Day.
week of Monday.
Aye.
Aye, after Star Wars Day.
Yeah.
May the 4th. Oops.
Yeah.
I'd better bug on.
Oh, bugger.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Back in a bit. Yes. Hello. Good evening. Welcome. It's Thursday. Thursday, the 24th of April it is, and it's 9 o'clock apparently, or at least it is here. It's probably 30 seconds after where you are, and we are reliably informed that Monday coming is not a bank holiday, but the Monday after that is. Isn't that right, Sav?
Something like that. Yeah.
Something along those lines. You'll recognise Sav in the cat house, the expanded cat house. She is the effervescent loveliness and bountiful beautiliciousness that accompanies me on all of these VTTV, VTTalk. What's it called again?
VTTalk.
That's the one. Accompanies me on all of these. How are you diddling tonight, aside from having been to the doctors when you weren't supposed to?
I don't know what day. I hate days that or weeks that have bank holidays in. It just confuses the issue.
You're not thinking about being a bin man, are you?
Well, you see, my bins, I don't know, they were due to be picked up today, but nobody put them out on the street. And then the bin man came. I was so confused.
Oh, we checked the labels. We actually read the labels that tell you when they come, and it said we'll be here as usual, and they were.
You see, the man who lives in the flat upstairs from me takes my bin out, and he didn't read the label, and I feel guilty about not telling him.
How long's he been going out with you, bin? Is it serious? Are they getting married, or?
Oh, they've been in a committed relationship for the last 7 years.
Yes. John?
Yeah?
Rescue me, please. Above Sav, in the iMac, is John Diver, and he's there for a very special reason, which we shall come on to after we have played the titles. We've got a fair amount of stuff to get through tonight. I'm going to bring you up to date with what's happening with the EFVI. We're going to talk about the NNA, and if you don't know what the NNA is, you will. I was serious in the pre-show when I said it was going to be educational. We'll be talking about the FDA and their deeming regulations, although apparently that's happening an awful lot in the States as well. And if we've got time, we might even be talking about etiquette. But we'll see how it goes, because actually the NNA and the FDA are quite important. That comes off after the titles, and then I'll give John his proper title, or John will tell you what his proper title is. It's all going to be good. So hello and good evening and welcome to VTTalk. Yes, VT Talk is where it's at tonight with myself, Dave Dawn, Sav, Kirstine, Sav, the effervescent, all of that kind of stuff, and John Diver. John, what is your new title? Introduce yourself with your proper title, if you will, please.
Oh, that's a tricky one, actually, because I don't actually have a title yet. Other than sort of chief bottle washer and general gopher. But I'm sure you're referring to the NNA, or the new Nicotine Alliance UK.
I am indeed referring to the NNA.
Full title, of which I am an administrator, I think is probably the easiest way to put it.
Well, at the moment, I think I could probably even say that you were the chief executive officer.
That sounds good. I like that.
You like that one?
Yeah, it's not bad.
John Diver is the Chief Executive Officer of the new Nicotine Alliance. That's who he is, and we're going to be talking about that in a little bit. But before we do, got to bring you up to date with what is going on with EFVI. And Slim, who was on the show last week, has emailed me, and he apologises that he can't make the show tonight. He says here, the boxes are now installed in well over 100 vape shops. He suspects a lot more, but he's busy updating the map. And the link to that is cdsposts.blogspot.co.uk. And if we look in at the map, I'll find it in a second. I've got it here. I've got so many windows open on this machine. I feel such a fool. No, that's not the right way to do it. 4 fingers, that's the way to do it. Now I can bring it up. It's that one there. Green dots, like these ones here, are vape shops. Green ones tell you all sorts of things. The green flags tell you the Juicy Vaporium, in this case in Grantham, has collected 45 signatures, and the collector was Deborah Traynor. If we go down into London, John's Patch, I'm going to try and zoom in. I don't know how you zoom in. Oh, you press the little zoom in button, you daft bat don. Have you ever felt foolish, Sav?
Frequently.
I'll go to London. Where the hell's London? I thought that was the Thames. It's not. That was Hull. Newark. I think I might have zoomed in too far. Zoom out a bit, David.
Look for the gold pavements.
Is that true? Is it?
Absolutely.
That's what I like to hear. EVAP. Oh, look at Londinium. Look at all this. Green flags all over the place. UK e-cig store. EVAP. Who have we got? Vape Emporium. EVAP again. They've got more than one store. Greedy. Vape Lab. There's loads of them. Look at all this. Red dots are pharmacies. Right? And it's totally wicked that's put that in there. Look, and so the map is there at cdsposts.blogspot.co.uk. Go and have a look. It's all good stuff. And let me get back to me little piece of writing that is writ about all of this, because if I don't read it, I'll get it wrong, and I do like to be factual where we can. He says that EFVI is in, with the Dodo boxes, in all four corners of the UK, and it's expanding daily. Demand has been amazing, and most of the regions have now sold out. There is still some available in the northeast, northwest and eastern regions, but probably only for a few more days. I've got some. I've got a couple of boxes left. I was down round one or two of our dealers, our vendors round here the other day, and I'm going to be going out again. If you want one, bell me.
Bath Vapor has just said on that map, Dave, if you click on one of the eyes, that will give you the regional totals.
Well, there's a thing. Hang on. Well, I'll read this, then we'll have a look at that. The Dodos have also gone international, it says here, as we've sent a small shipment over to Hungary, Cyprus, the Republic of Ireland. Go on, sign up. And one for Sweden. Respected Dan Piddy, who even translated the signature form into Hungarian for them. There you go. It's very early days, but with only a fraction of the shops returning data, we are seeing big increases in daily figures. Yesterday we hit our target figure for the first time in many weeks. A few days ago, this is important, we overtook the Germans. So we've now collected more signatures than any other European country. I see a competition coming up here. Do you not?
Yep.
When the French and the Germans find out we've got more signatures signed up than they have, you watch. They'll be at it. It'll be the World Cup 1966 all over again. We'll have to get Martin Peters to sign one up. That'll be alright, won't it? Why are you laughing?
Nothing. No, I'm not laughing at all.
I think this is brilliant. I think it's a fabulous thing. And now, what have I got to do, did you say, Sav?
If you click on one of the eyes on the map, it'll give you the regional total for cigs collected.
I've never seen a map with... Oh, right. I've found an eye. And it says, cigs collected 51, London region total. There's one. There's another. I found another eye. Click on that. South East region total 20. Does this update automatically then, or does somebody have to do it?
I think someone has to input the signatures, so I'm guessing the shops are waiting until their little boxes are full, and then they update or pass to their regional coordinators to update. Yes.
Well, I'm going down to Horton to hang on. I've got a card here. I'm doing really well tonight. I'm a bit like a man off, viewers, just a bit. I'm going to go down to Enigma, which is where we've got one in there. I'm going to go down on Monday and pick the box up, and I'll do the clattery things, might as well. That's at 1 Imperial Buildings, Hortley Spring, County Durham. Steve's a good lad. If you're living in the area, go and have a bit play. Nice place. Lots of vinegar and stuff. Juices from all over the place. And he's getting DV juices in as well, which is all good. So there. So yes, EFVI is doing quite well. Has Chat got anything to say about that before we move on?
Just a lot of people saying, well done, it's brilliant. Alan Fletcher did pick up on the comment about beating Germany, and he did say quiet, DD. But yeah, kudos to everybody that's involved in that. It's a great effort. And Dave, can you pass me the link to that page so I can pop it into chat, because they're wanting to look and I haven't got it on this machine.
Oh, right. Oh, well. Can I do it during the adverts?
You can indeed. We will pop the link in the chat during the advert.
Because if I do it now, that means making you fit in that little bit there, and then I've got to type, and it'll give the magic away, because everybody thinks you're actually sat on the floor with your face just behind.
I live in this town.
Which is not the truth. It's not the truth. It just isn't. It isn't. It isn't. Anyway, yes. So there you go. That's EFVI. We're going to talk about the NNA next. Are you sitting comfortably? Have your ears just fallen off? I do apologise. That was meant to be a nice gentle sting. Scared the living crap out of me. NNA, John. Over to you. Let's go from the start. Say what it is, when it started, what it's about, what it's going to be doing, and why we're a little bit early.
Right. Yeah. If I seem a little bit unprepared, I should probably explain a little bit of backstory first before I tell you the full story. And that's that we're not really ready to launch yet. We'd hoped to get a launch together in the middle of April. Unfortunately, as is often the case, a couple of things have taken longer than we thought, and so we're kind of we're a little bit in limbo at the moment now. Unfortunately, one thing about the NNA is it's got me doing some of the organising, which means I'm bound to cock it up. So essentially what I did was I opened a Twitter account the other day, hoping that I could do it quietly, on the sly, no one would notice, and then come whatever day we decided to go public, I could open that up to everybody and say hello. Unfortunately, I forgot that when you open a Twitter account, you have to add 5 to 10 people first before it lets you do anything else, and a few of the people that I added immediately started tweeting, and before I knew it we had 50-60 followers. So this is all a little bit kind of rushed and cobbled together, and we'd hope to have made a bit of a bigger splash. But what is the NNA? Well, this dates back, really. The idea dates back to a meeting we had in January, about January the 18th, I think it was. And as you remember, Dave, you yourself were there, as was Sav, and a good number of other people who have been involved in the sort of campaigning that we've been doing over the last year or more. And the purpose of the meeting was really to kind of take stock of where we'd got to. The TPD was sort of coming to an end, so it's a little bit of sort of a wash up about how far did we get with that, what did we win, what did we lose, and also to consider what we'd need to do going forwards. And obviously the focus of that going forwards would be the implementation of the TPD in the UK. So we were looking primarily at the UK focus. And also we knew at that stage there were rumours of the World Health Organization adding us to the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, or adding nicotine products to the framework. And that presented quite a risk, really, because once that happens, or if that happens, then suddenly the industry gets very limited access to legislators and the powers that be. We don't know whether that will apply to consumers as well, but we kind of felt that we needed to do something to, I don't think we ever thought we could head it off, but at least try and influence that discussion.
Indeed, yes.
So it was suggested and sort of very quickly agreed that we needed a sort of new form of organisation, and that it had to be consumer-based, completely free from influence from the industry. It had to be a not-for-profit, and preferably a registered charity, and it had to not cross any of the existing groups that we already have. The idea was not to reinvent sort of ECA or any of the other organisations, consumer type organisations, but to try and do something that would support them and help get their voice heard. So that was the broad decision. We knew we needed to do something. We knew we needed it to be clean in political terms, that would give us the best chance of getting some access to public health, to the World Health Organization themselves, potentially, and certainly to government in this country. And so essentially we decided that we'd try and keep it fairly broad-based. So we're the new Nicotine Alliance, we're not the new e-cig Alliance.
Yeah.
We're concerned primarily with education. We have a constitution that we've drawn up over the last few months that's primarily concerned with improving public health through education. And as you can see, we have an embryonic website that I'm currently trying to finish off as quickly as I possibly can.
And I've got to say, at this point in time, it actually is very informative, and there's an awful lot of information there that people need to be aware of. But sorry, carry on, John.
No, well, the hope is that it answers the sort of basic questions like who the hell are you, who's paying you, and what are you trying to do. Hopefully it answers those sorts of questions. Now, obviously, we're going to be building on that as we move forward and take up specific campaigns and produce specific policy statements and so on. One of the first things that we've actually done, I've been working on today, is a response to the CAP consultation on e-cigarette advertising.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been consulting with members of the trustee team that we have. I should mention that I'm not actually a trustee because I'm kind of part-time employed by the organisation. I can't be a trustee on the board, but our trustees will be well known to many of the people here in chat for sure. And that's we've got Professor Jerry Stimson, good old Lorian from ECA, John Spring from ECA. Professor Sue Wilson, who will be known to many people on Twitter as Old Dragons, if I remember rightly.
Yes.
Sarah, of course, Sarah Jakes, and Paddy Costal, who you had on the show a couple of weeks back.
Indeed. But I'm right in thinking that you want a few more trustees.
Yeah, I mean, constitutionally, we've set it up so that we aim to start with 6. But increase that to 12 within the sort of first year or so of operations. And what that'll do is it'll allow us to have some continuity so that as people want to step down in future and be replaced, we can do that, we can stagger that at different times, and hopefully keep going that way.
What are there any specific qualifications for being a trustee, or any disqualifications, should I say, for being a trustee?
Well, there are. I mean, this came up in the very first meeting. Because we need to stay completely separate from industry, we can't have vendors on the board as such, or anyone who kind of makes their living directly from the e-cigarette industry. We also won't be accepting any kind of funding from the e-cigarettes or, of course, from tobacco.
Yes, it's. I mean, should point out that I was at the meeting, at the inaugural meeting of all of this, where it was all discussed, and I, because of this, ruled myself out, because obviously we take e-cig advertising on here. Sav was alongside me as well, and we both ruled ourselves out of it, as did one or two other people, because of their involvement and not wanting to be toxic to all of this. And of course, there are many who would look at myself or Sav or anybody on the VTTV team as being, well, their industry, so you've been toxic. What the hell's the word for that? I can't think. But whatever. So yeah, that's kind of important. What
I mean, that's not to say. I must say that's not to say that small traders and so on. We're kind of considering now how people can become associate members, which will be a non-voting position within the group, but we'll be able to contribute to things like focus groups on specific areas, and I'm sure there's a way to accommodate small traders and people like yourselves who have a lot to give. The clean bit, if you like, is the fact that the governing board is completely independent.
I think that's very, very important. Yes. So if you think you might have an interest in this, then I would encourage you to get in touch with John, and get your heads together and talk about a trusteeship. Is it trusteeship? Is that the right word?
Yep, trusteeship will do. I mean, we're looking for people who can commit a certain amount of time, obviously, and preferably have a good solid grounding in the sort of fundamentals of what vaping is and what it's about in this country. If there's anyone out there with a sort of science background, that also will help, because obviously we want to see ourselves as being, or project ourselves certainly as being, primarily evidence based. This isn't a mass movement sort of consumer organisation as such, but hopefully it spans a bit of a bridge between consumers and the science community as well.
Yeah, it's just occurred to me. What about Granny Louisa in Leicester? Would she kind of qualify, given that she's in public health already?
Granny Louisa would be ideal if she had the time. We'd welcome her with open arms. But you probably shouldn't be volunteering people when they're not here.
It was just a subtle hint. Look, I've had me head sharpened, so my brain's acting outside its usual confines. I'll chuck it across to Sav, because I've seen the eyeballs flitting from side to side at 1,000,000 miles an hour. What's Chat saying, Sav?
There's a fair bit. There's a couple of vendors in there that are asking of ways that they can help. So I'm guessing that would probably be best to get in touch with the organisation direct. Entropy has said, we need to organise nicotine pride marches. 1,000 vapers marching through London to a samba beat wearing, his words not mine, assless chaps.
Hang on. I'm sorry. I do actually. I have got to. I cannot not. I have to. Actually, I must. No. The march, yes. Brilliant. But I'm not shaving me arse for anybody. Sav can if she wants.
I'm not shaving your bottom.
No, I didn't mean shaving. Back to you, Sav.
Yes. Leanna Lawless has said, we first need to get together, less of the I don't care attitude. DJ Reptiles said, shame on politicians, etc., that are taking funding from organisations with a conflict of interest, don't think the same. And Entropy says, I wonder if there's any EU funding available for things like this. Wouldn't that be a turn up for the books?
There's a question. Is there any EU funding available for this, John?
There might possibly be. We're looking at all sorts of sources. I got laughed at just for a little while when I suggested perhaps we ought to go to Ash and see if they wanted to give us something. But all things are possible. We're looking primarily at sort of private trusts, and there's an awful lot of them around. Hence the kind of the very much sort of leaning towards the educational side of spreading the word about recreational nicotine use. I should also explain about the name. I've had a few people question this, like whatever happened to the old Nicotine Alliance. The new nicotine part is just a kind of fairly ham-fisted attempt to try and differentiate ourselves from smoking. We didn't want to look like another forest, essentially. And so new nicotine is it's a misnomer, because there's nothing new about the nicotine that we're using, of course, but it's certainly new to the average punter on the street in the UK here. So it seemed to fit, and it just differentiates us a little bit from smoking. Not that we're anti-smoking by any means. So that's that's how the name came about, if anyone was wondering. There was a question about contacting us. We've got a contact form on the web page that comes through to me, or you can just mail to info@nnalliance.org.
And the contact form is up on screen right now. nnalliance.org is where you need to go.
And also I'll be flying the Twitter account, and there will be a Facebook page as soon as I can get round to it.
Good luck with the Facebook page. No fluffy kittens must be posted. No fluffy kittens, no lolcats, no puppies, none of that. Unless they've got e-cigs, of course. That's allowable. You're giggling again, Sav. Have we got something more?
No, they're still talking about your bottom.
It just doesn't work on any level, I'm sorry.
Why? Everybody's got one. Just because mine makes its way onto the telly every so often purely by accident, there's no need to fixate on it. I wish my wife did. quite as much, but never mind. Never mind.
There has been a couple of people in chat saying, so being just a vapor, they could get in touch and sort of help out or be on the board, or do they actually have to be an activist?
No, absolutely. We're interested in forging links with as many people as possible within the vaping community. You don't have to be prepared to put time into it. If you just want to register as a friend, what we'll do is we'll give you information. We haven't quite worked out how we're going to do that yet. So I'd hold fire if you could for right now. There's likely to be a couple of different ways of associating with the organisation, but particularly at this stage, if you are interested in having input to, for instance, focus groups on specific subjects, then please drop us a line. And also, if you're interested in serving, of course, as a trustee.
Yes, I think I should probably say that as John said earlier, this is slightly preemptive, but when I saw that the Twitter account had gone up and saw that it had built so many followers so quickly, possibly because I was tweeting myself saying I was so pleased to see it was there. I do apologise, John.
Thanks, Dave.
I thought it best that we got John on to explain the basics of what the new Nicotine Alliance is all about, to kind of head off any misapprehensions that there may be. Now, both Sav and I have been privy to like the nascence of this, the birth of the whole thing, and also further steps as it's gone along. And I'm excited by this. I'm excited about the whole thing, and I think you are as well, aren't you, Sav?
Oh yes, yeah, definitely.
This promises to do a power of good, the world of good. It's not like anything that we've ever had in the vaping community before. It transcends everything that we've ever had in the vaping community before, because this is an organisation that could I'm going to say quite easily, take a seat at the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, as indeed it should, because you've seen who the trustees are, and there are other very, very notable people that, if they're not involved now, will be involved more further down the road, that will lend scientific credibility to everything. I mean, it's going to be completely unbiased, it's going to be completely factual, it's going to be the kind of resource that the vaping community can make an awful lot of use of, and it's there to guide where we all need guidance. So if you've got, a complete twonk, for instance, on Twitter, who comes in and says, yes, I actually support e-cigs, but I'd like to see them banned, I'd like to see the end of nicotine use altogether, I'd like to see this, I'd like to see the rest. And if you're not quite sure how to handle somebody like that, then there is a resource, because all of the information that you would need would be there, supplied by an organisation that, in the totality of the sphere, has the same sort of standing in governmental terms and in terms of the media as the likes of ASH, Cancer Research UK. The people that keep on grabbing the headlines when they make a statement? That's what this can be, and that's what excites me so much about the whole thing. I think in Norfolk they'd call it a proper job. It's properly done, and it's properly constituted and configured so that none of the governmental departments or the public health departments or anybody else would have any fear in dealing with it. And that, I think, is absolutely fabulous. Absolutely do. And we probably need to take some adverts, unless there's anything to come from chat, Sav?
There's one more comment I've got, which is from Max Drum, and says, I think this is a very good idea to educate local GPs and clinics and the like. And there's a lot of people mentioning names like Clive Bates, Professor Etta, Jack Luhuzek. All these people are involved. Are they going to get involved? Obviously, it's a bit too early to say who's in and who's out at this stage, but people seem very excited.
Good. I'm pleased they are, because I am. And those names that have been mentioned, I think there will be some involvement further down the line, don't you, John?
Yeah, I mean, some of them have already been involved. While we were putting our constitution together, one thing we did was we established a small consultative group with yourselves, many other notable vapers, and representatives from the major vaping forums in the UK. So this has kind of been through quite a lot of people's hands, and we've had a lot of support from all quarters. So yeah, a lot of those people are already involved, and I'm sure many more will be.
Yes, as I say, I find myself being more excited daily the more I do. I think it's a fabulous initiative, and I'm not easily fabulised, as Sav will tell you. I use superlatives a lot, but I really do think this is a fabulous initiative, and I'm really keen to see everybody getting behind it and giving it all the support it needs, and using it as a resource. If it's not used, then it's a waste of time. It's not a band of elite, that's going out there and telling everybody what to do. The structure goes way beyond just the NNA. There's a whole a circle of influence into which, an umbrella, if you like, under which everybody can gather. And when the opportunity presents itself, I'm going to be talking to the Vapor Trails team, and Sav's already knows all about this, of course. There is a place for Vapor Trails underneath this big umbrella that encompasses everything, and I think it's amazing. It's a resource that we can tap into to help the community, and I think that's fabulous, don't you, Sav? Personally, without chat.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it is a brilliant idea.
So there you go. We better take some adverts.
Yes, we do.
When we come back, if chat's got anything more, we'll go there, and then we might be talking about the FDA. God bless their little cotton socks. They think they're Linda McCavan. Back in a couple of ticks. iVapor and iVapor Elixir, based in Yorkshire, for your e-cig needs. That's ivapor.co.uk and ivapor-elixir.co.uk. iVapor and ivapor-elixir.co.uk are proud sponsors of vaportrails.tv. And we're back in the room. Welcome back to VTTalk here on the 24th of April. The time is now 9:35. I'll have to take the next lot of adverts in 5 minutes' time by the looks of it, which is a bit of a bugger. I might have overrun on that was a touch of windy pops there, I do apologise. FDA. Unless you've been living in a shed in outer Mongolia with no internet, no telephones, no nothing, you will know that the FDA today released its deeming rules onto the unsuspecting populace of the US of A. And indeed, just before we went live, there was what would you call it? It wasn't really a webinar, there was like a phone-in with Mitch Zeller, of the FDA, where there's a whole load of Americans are asking questions, and that'll be available later. Look up COSICON on justin.tv, www.justin.tv/COSICON, COZZ, because he's American, ICON, and he's been rebroadcasting it, and that'll be there for you to have a listen to. There's no video with it, and a whole load of questions being asked, and Sav and I were sitting listening to it before we went live just a little bit. Lost our rags just a touch, but you came up with something that I thought was quite profound, really, Sav, when you were talking about the difference between the FDA and what it's doing and what happened to us with the EU.
Did I?
You did.
You may have to remind me.
It's true to say we were prepping the show, and it does get very stressful, doesn't it, Sav? No, what you said was at least the FDA engages with the public.
I remember saying that now, yeah.
There you go on, say it again.
Yes, at least the FDA engages with the public. I'm sorry, it's been a long day.
Yes. Anyway, right. I, as with all of these things, I try and keep abreast of what's going on with it. And I downloaded the whole of the deeming regulations so that you wouldn't have to. You can if you want, but trust me when I tell you there are 214 pages of this. I have now read them all, and I'm here to tell you I ended up reading what Bonnie Herzog had written, and I think you did something similar, didn't you, Sav?
I did, yes.
Yes, there are some very good summaries of all of this, but let's go to their executive summary of what the purpose of the proposed rule is. It says cigarettes, cigarette tobacco, roll your own tobacco and smokeless tobacco were immediately covered by FDA's tobacco product authorities in Chapter 9 of the FDA Act, blah, 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 blah. For other kinds of tobacco products, FDA has authority to issue regulations to bring them under the law by deeming them to be subject to such authorities. Consistent with the statute, once a tobacco product is deemed, FDA may put in place restrictions on the sale, distribution, blah blah blah, including age-related access restrictions, advertising and promotion restrictions, if FDA determines the restrictions are appropriate for the protection of public health. Let's just get down to this. There's a lot of this is about cigars for one reason or another, and then e-cigs kind of come into it around about here. Section 201, as amended by the Tobacco Control Act, defines the term tobacco product to mean any product made or derived from tobacco that is intended for human consumption, including any component, part or accessory of a tobacco product except for raw materials other than tobacco used in manufacturing a component, part or blah blah. Products that meet the statutory definition of tobacco products can include currently marketed products such as certain dissolvables, gels, hookah tobacco, electronic cigarettes, cigars and... Look, the bottom line on it is there's 214 pages of that gobbledygook, and there's a much easier way to sort all this out, and that is to go to what Ms. Herzog and her colleagues have had to say in their quick take. And I think, well, have you got the Michael Siegel one sorted out?
I've got the Michael Siegel one here, yeah.
Right, well I'll do this and then you read what Michael's had to say. That's the easiest way, okay. I think. It's going to short circuit all of this. Well, basically, what's happened is somebody in America thinks that they're Linda McAvan, basically, because they've basically aped what's happened in the UK. So this is what Wells Fargo has said. The e-cigs proposed deeming regulations are finally released. At first glance, not as bad as feared. The highly anticipated advanced notice of proposed rulemaking of deeming regulations on other tobacco products, including e-cigs, are being published this morning after a review by the Office of Management and Budget. And basically, companies would have to apply for FDA product approval, but have 2 years after rules are finalised so to do, and can keep their products on the market in the interim, and importantly, continue to bring new products to market. 2, there's no free samples of e-cig products. Well, it's not really a big deal, is that? I don't think. There's a ban on the sale of the devices to anyone below the age of 18. I think that's probably not particularly controversial. No health claims in any advertising. But 5 requires manufacturers to register with the FDA and list the ingredients in their products. It's not clear as yet if these ingredients will be required to be listed on the products. And 6, it'll require a warning label stating that nicotine is addictive, which would have to be added no later than 2 years after the rule is finalised. Importantly, it did not include restrictions on flavours, although that could be re-evaluated at a later time. It doesn't include a ban on internet sales to adults. It doesn't include a ban on TV advertising. As a reminder, the FDA cannot enact a federal tax on e-vapor products or ban internet sales, as these would fall under the realm of Congress. Further, the FDA cannot legally ban e-cigarette advertising, as that is considered commercial speech, which is protected by the First Amendment. I wish we had that in Europe. I really, really do. There's a 75-day comment period, after which the FDA will review the comments, eventually issuing a final rule which must be reviewed by the OMB before being enacted. We believe the process could take as long as 2 years before final regulations are implemented, given the rulemaking process, though some items will need to be complied with immediately. Bottom line is they are broadly as expected, not as restrictive as some had feared. The main concern remains around e-cig, e-vapor innovation, which if stifled could dramatically slow down industry growth and conversion from combustible e-cigs, which would ultimately result in net negative public health impact, which would obviously be in direct opposition of the agency's goals. The next bit is quite important. It says the regulatory process could take years. Now that the regulations are published, there will be a 75-day comment period. Then the FDA must read the potentially hundreds of thousands of comments that it receives. Let me read that again so that our American viewers get it, and I'm not being nasty. There's a hint here. The FDA must read the potentially hundreds of thousands of comments that it receives. After this, it will revise the final rule, which the OMB must review before the final rule is published. We note that lawsuits may extend the time frame even further. Bottom line, it'll likely be years before it becomes fully effective. So there's a hint there. Get writing, and vendors in the States, you need to get your lawyers on board. But Michael Siegel has a slightly different tack on that, doesn't he, Sav?
Yeah, Michael Siegel sort of broke it down into the good, the bad and the ugly, and I'll start with the good. He's got the regulations ban the sale of electronic cigarettes to minors, both in person and via the internet. The regulations do not ban the sale of electronic cigarettes to adults via the internet. The regulations do not ban the use of flavouring in electronic cigarettes.
Yet.
The regulations do not ban or restrict e-cigarette advertising or marketing to adults. And the regulations do not immediately pull any e-cigarette products from the market. I mean, he has sort of gone on to explain his thinking behind each of these. I'm just reading the bullet points. The bad, he's got the regulations do not limit the marketing of electronic cigarettes to the youth. The regulations require pre-approval or substantial equivalence determinations for all new electronic cigarette products. The regulations require pre-approval or substantial equivalence determinations of almost all existing electronic cigarette products. And the ugly is the regulations apply section 911, the modified risk product provisions, to electronic cigarettes. And I'll read what that means. He says, this is a complete disaster and is not in the interest of protecting the public's health. In fact, this provision is going to harm public's health. It's going to require manufacturers to implicitly lie about the intended purpose and relative safety of their products. I won't read the whole thing because there's lots of it. And it says, overall summary, all in all, the deeming regulations are a disaster. However, they are not as much of a disaster as they could have been. The positive side is that internet sales, marketing to adult consumers and flavours are still allowed, and that no products will immediately be taken off the market. The negative side is that new products will require pre-approval. Virtually every product on the market will require a substantial equivalence determination, if not a new product approval, and that manufacturers will be forced to implicitly lie about the intended purpose and relative safety of the product by not being allowed to correctly point out that these products are much safer than tobacco cigarettes. At the end of the day, while there are some positive aspects to these regulations, it is clear that science is not playing much of a role in the process. That does not bode well for the potential of electronic cigarettes to seriously challenge the combustible tobacco market and thus to save hundreds of thousands of lives.
Yes, there you have it. And yes, I agree. And it's largely very, very similar to what we've been lumbered with. While Sav and I were listening to this phone-in that was going on, we did hear one person, I know not who, and I wouldn't embarrass them by naming them, even if I did. In all of this, the strength of e-liquid has not been addressed. And this person went to Mitch Zeller, who's in charge of all of this, and said, are there no restrictions on the strength of nicotine concentration in e-liquid juice? And can you remember what you said, Sav?
Stop telling them things they haven't thought of yet.
Craziness. We'll take a quick burst of adverts, and when we get back we'll take your thoughts on the matter and get John's thoughts on the matter as well. And there's a good reason why we've put NNA and FDA together tonight. Back in 2. And we're back. We are back. Now, you might think sometimes I fly this show by the seat of my pants, and I would think 75% of the time you're probably right. But I had a reason for doing what we've done tonight with the new Nicotine Alliance, John Diver, CEO thereof, chief bottle washer, head cat cleaner outer of the new Nicotine Alliance. We've got that in the UK. There's a UK in the name, isn't there, John?
That's right. Reason being, but we couldn't take on the whole of the world in one go, essentially. So the idea was that we'll focus on the UK, but hopefully by including that UK, we make that very clear to everybody. And there is a potential that other countries may want to set up their own similar organisation, and of course we'd be willing to help, more than willing to help them do that.
Yes. See, the USA, for instance, could set up a US NNA, USNA, if you wanted, because, as we pointed out earlier on, it's going to be that kind of organisation that can get a seat on the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control. I know the US is not a signatory to it, but it's worthwhile thinking about in other countries throughout Europe, throughout the world, in fact. But I did promise we would go and take what we've got from chat, and I'm told there's quite a bit, isn't there, Sav?
Yes, chat, I've had an awful lot to say about the FDA. Stefan Didakis said the FDA did not engage, they condescended to the public. Alan Fletcher said the FDA certainly does engage, but if they listen to them, it's another thing. And Silver Zero's the same. FDA is required to listen to the public, but that doesn't mean they will actually hear us. Very Boring says, I've been working my way through that document. It's a maze of politico speak and basically rubbish.
He didn't say rubbish, did he?
He didn't say rubbish.
No.
Max Drummer says 214 pages of tripe and 1 paragraph of clarity.
That's about right.
Yeah. Entropy says, well, you've got to get to blame and to thank for this. Lala said, so it's better than the TPD then.
I think that there are varying degrees of better. As in, how can I put it? That finger is longer than that one, but not by much. Certainly not by as much as that finger's longer, and there are no other comparisons being made. So it's better, but it's not better by much, because the biggest stumbling block in all of this, whether it's the TPD or whether it's the deeming regulations, is this necessity to pre-notify with all of the hoops that they might want you to jump through. And it's how that's implemented that's of vital importance to everybody. And that, I think, is probably the biggest area that needs to be fought. Now, by my reading of it, the US can fight this. They've got the courts, and the courts will do things that we can't do in the EU, for instance. So in the States, yes, now's the time. I think, actually, this has probably given everybody a hell of a fright and a start. I hope it has. And I hope they get off their backsides and really give it some humpty, because where the USA goes, other countries will follow, and I do think that's quite important. Sorry, Sav, back to you.
No problem. Stefan again has said the big note is that the FDA called these proposed regulations foundational, and that other future restrictions will be tucked on top of this. Vaping Sam has said, shame they don't seem to adhere to the one subject rule that New York are going to be sued over. Lorraine has said, regarding the free samples thing, it's for the vaping culture over there. It stops testing in shops and vape cafes. To which Stefan has said, yeah, flavour samples in store will now be a federal felony, i.e. prison time.
Hang on, just a minute. That's not a free gift. And I think, given the ability of lawyers over there to prove that black is white and green has no colour, and they can, I've seen them do it, I think they would be able to fight that one. Sampling something is not a free gift. Just a thought. Sorry, shut up. Back to Sav.
Yeah, Silver Zero says it looks like e-liquid manufacturers will have to obtain a costly market approval for every single item they sell, every flavour in every bottle volume and every nicotine level.
Yep.
Dripper Boxer says, what cost will this mean for the makers in the US? Leanna Lawless has said it makes it cushy for tobacco and big pharma, same as the TPD. Stephanus says the FDA has only approved 0.1% of new tobacco products applied for in the past 10 years, which is an interesting number. Gary Dibley has said, I do love the approval process. How can you approve something that you know nothing about? And NW Redneck has said, compare it with comparison to the FDA and the TPD. He says, well, this one's only a £5 pile of poop compared to the TPD £6 pile.
You didn't say poop either, did he?
He didn't, no.
I didn't think so, somehow. What do you make of it all, John?
Well, it's a bit of a mixed bag, isn't it, really? I mean, it could have been a lot worse, but it's not good either. It's the approval process that worries me. I've seen a mention of 5,000 man-hours of effort required to get a license, and if that's supplier side, that's a huge figure. If that's both sides, then maybe it'd be okay. I don't know. I think, like the TPD, there's too much ambiguity in the terminology, which effectively means we don't know yet what we're going to get.
I think that's the first time that you can say about e-cigarettes, we don't really know. You're right. But it is. The thing is,
the problem with e-cig regulations is we don't actually know what's in them.
Well, yes, you're so right. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's the TPD or the FDA deeming regulations or any of that stuff. I spent, I don't know how many hours it was from the minute I got hold of this thing this afternoon. It was just about as soon as it was published, until I think it was probably about 7:15 when I finally had to get to the last page. I mean, it's extremely repetitive. it says the same thing. There's this same preamble about everything going on every so often. If they cut all of that out, it would be down to about 100 pages. But everything I read right the way through it was, this seems to be a consultation document. It seems that they want replies. It seems to me that America needs to reply. America needs to consult. America needs to make its feelings heard. And I suspect that we in the UK and in Europe can also make our feelings heard. We can also address that, because what happens in America will influence what happens in every other country throughout the world, and it will influence what happens at COP6 in October. And that, I think, is important. And therefore, I feel we in the UK, in Europe, everywhere, have a right to make our feelings heard. If what Bonnie Herzog and Wells Fargo has said is to be believed and is true, they have to read every last one of them, then the more they have to read, the longer it will take, and the longer it takes, the better off we as a community are. Because there comes a point when the numbers are so large that government has no power. And that, I think, I'm pretty sure that's a fact. For instance, the most popular sport in the UK, last time I looked, was angling. If you take into account salmon fishing, trout fishing, sea fishing, coarse fishing, all of the various different forms of fishing, all the various different forms of angling. Last time I looked, there was something like 22 million anglers in the UK. Some of them are quite influential. I'm not mentioning any names, Nigel Farage. But there are 22 million of them, and you don't see these days a great deal of penurious legislation about angling. It tends to be left alone on the basis of, if you piss 22 million people off, you ain't getting elected. I would suggest humbly that we're pretty much the same. If we have 12 million vapers in the UK, i.e. if every smoker were to convert to exclusive e-cig use, they would have a hell of a job doing anything about what we're doing. They really would, because pissing 12 million people off is going to get shot of so many votes you just wouldn't know. And in the States, it's even more important, I think. Just a thought. Would you care to comment on that, John?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the critical mass argument has always been true. I mean, kind of part of me sort of thinks that with an election coming in this country, I wouldn't mind it if the current government tried to implement the TPD early, because I think they just wouldn't have the stomach for a fight right now, not in the press, and we might actually get some concessions there. I don't think they will. I think they'll kick it into the long grass until after the election and leave it to the Labour Party to sort out. But
that speaks a voice
that's probably not going to do us any favours.
No.
But then by then, we could be 2.5-3 million.
Indeed. Or, and this is just punting it out there, UKIP might get elected.
You might want to be careful what you wish for there, Dave.
Could you hear the tumbleweed? What's chat got to say, Sav? Because I've noticed that we're right at the top of the hour nearly.
We are, and again, chat's got loads to say. Max Drummer says, in my line of work, ambiguity equals irrelevant until clarified.
Mm-hmm.
Lorraine has said, the bit about samples is on page 131 on that document. Dave, Leanna Lawless has said, nobody knows what they'll get because nobody knows what or how to regulate. Silver Zero says, yes, we are allowed to comment, but keep in mind, so are the ants who see this proposal as not restrictive enough. Lolly Lulubs has said, they don't know what's in the regs, and how are they going to police thousands and thousands of products? NW Redneck has said, the problem is that getting people to work together on something like this is like herding cats. Very Boring has said, the FDA seem to be using the same definition of tobacco as the World Health Organization are trying to use.
That had not escaped my notice, I have to say. And that, I have to say, also worries me a little bit, because they do have a lot of influence. We need to be careful about these people. We really do. Sorry, Sav.
And the last comment is from Entropy, and Entropy says the only thing we need to know about COP6 is whether we need to bring our own barrel to be shafted over.
Yes, that is possibly true. But let's put it like this. You've kind of got to be in it to win it, and if we don't fight it, we're bound to lose. And that applies world over with all of this kind of stuff. If we don't fight it, we're bound to lose. And yeah, a few people have commented that there's far too many vapers, in their opinion, sit on their arses and wait for other people to do things. I think it's becoming increasingly apparent now that we've all got to get off our backsides. We've all got to pull together. We've all got to fight what appears to be an oppressive regime. We're making headway. The optimistic side of me says we are making headway. We are bringing more and more people in public health. People with loud voices are coming to, if you like, the light side of the force. And we need to continue that, I feel. It's why I'm so very, very optimistic about the new Nicotine Alliance. It's why I'm so very, very keen to support it and treat everybody else so to do. I think what John and his team have done so far is bloody amazing, frankly. Would you agree, Sav?
Yes, absolutely.
And I think they deserve our unconditional support. I know they're doing the right thing. I feel it in my heart, and I would entreat everybody to take exactly the same view and give them all of the support that you possibly can. John's working his pluck out to make this thing work and happen properly. The next steps are to be taken. I sincerely hope it's all a great success. I'm looking forward to Warsaw and meeting up with the trustees and a whole load of other people over there and talking about how we can affect what happens at COP6 in October in Russia if it comes off there. I think it's vitally important that we fight all of this. And I feel I'm buoyed up, actually, by the notion that EFVI with the Dodo boxes is proving to be successful and the curve is going back up. That is amazing stuff. We've got NNA coming on stream. We've got 2 events in May that I'll be at, 2 events in June that I'll be at, where we're talking e-cigs, we're talking nicotine, and it's being talked about in circles where there is influence and where influence will come from. I think we have an opportunity to make a difference, and I think the time to work on making that difference is now. I'm going to, and I hope you'll join me. Sav, we always take the last word from chat. Have you got a good one?
I've got one that's come from Silver074, and he says, luckily in the States we have 1 attorney in this country for every 2 citizens, so lawsuits will be coming. They're not going to let this go.
That's what we like to hear. John, thank you so much for coming and on what it was a preemptive show, but I hope you agree it was worthwhile doing. I'm thrilled by what you do, and I'm thrilled by the new Nicotine Alliance. More power to your elbow, and if there's any way we can help, please let me know.
Well, it'll be nice to come back and give you an update when we've got a little bit more concrete in place. But yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Always a pleasure and never a chore.
Well, lovely. Thank you for coming along. And yes, you know where I am. Let me know you need to be on. You're on. It's that simple. Sav, again, I know your job's been more difficult because you read stuff out that wasn't from chat and stuff like. I'm proud of you.
It was good.
It was amazeballs. Is that the right term? Amazeballs.
Something like that, yeah.
Yes, and obviously big thanks as well to the rest of the Vapor Trails team that I know have been back in Sav up.
Yeah.
And they do such a cracking job. I'm always proud to be part of the VTTV team. I'm even more proud of you lot, the viewers. Really am. The fact that you come and support us night after night after night and sit and watch this ugly bugger spouting his rubbish as many times a week as you do. I think it's fabulous. Thank you so much for joining us until we see you next time. And this has probably never been more important than it is tonight. Vape on, vape hard, and do not let the bastards grind you down. Until we see you next time, from all of us here, have a fabulous time, enjoy yourselves, be good to each other, and we'll see you on the flip side. Until we see you next time, bye bye. Where's number 9? There it is.